Yeah,
We're live.
I think we're live.
Hey, everybody.
Hey,
Welcome back.
we just got back from an insane travel day yesterday. Like,
I'm still
insane.
exhausted. That
Yeah.
was the most ridiculous. But we're not going to talk about that right
No,
now.
we will have a video coming out about that, but it's going to be a few weeks. So check it out when it comes out. But today we're talking about South America and specifically Argentina because that's where we just got back from. And if it's safe to travel or family friendly with kids. Because we heard a lot. There's like just a lot of discussion and a lot of passion one way or the other about whether it's good for kids.
We
So
got asked on the way back from the Customs and Border Patrol guy, did you get mugged? And I was like, how do I take that? Like, are you asking because I look like crap because I just got off of a 10-and-a-half-hour flight? Or are you just assume that everyone that goes there gets mugged? I don't know. It was something.
you always hear like not the greatest things about safety in South America. So we did a lot of research on different locations, not just Argentina, but South America as a whole before we went. And we found we'll get into like some of the safety and what we noticed in Argentina at least, but looking online, like it was all over the map, and we found different places are very different. So there are some that are known to be a little bit more unsafe and some that are a little bit safer. So you just have to kind of research, but hopefully we can kind of tell you about what our experience was.
Not trying to go to Venezuela.
No, probably not the greatest place right now, but So we want to talk a little bit today about where we went around Buenos Aires, a little bit of the transportation, how we got around the city, how we actually got to Buenos Aires.
From the airport?
Yeah, from the airport. Some of the food, different things like that. So we'll cover a few topics here.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't even know if it shows you. I wish it did.
Got a little bit of a cold going on too.
Right. So for whatever reason, it's not telling me like who's here, but welcome. Glad you're here. Give this a like if you wouldn't mind. And if you're not already a subscriber, you could be like lucky number 700.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're like $6.99 right now, so go ahead and do that. That'd be pretty cool. Oh, Roger, we have stories for days.
It was one of our more interesting trips, I would say.
More interesting. It was one of those where if it could go wrong, it did go wrong.
One thing I will say, just to start with, is if you're gonna travel somewhere over a holiday period, do a lot of research before you do it. Because we went over New Year's assuming that every place in the world parties on New Year's.
Not that we were out for like a giant party, but like every restaurant closed.
It was, so one of our videos coming, you'll get to see, we had our New Year's Eve dinner at a gas station because that was literally the only thing in the city open.
Oh, so that was a thing that happened, wasn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, if you do travel during any sort of holiday period, just make sure that the place is very accommodating to whenever you're traveling.
Yeah. So what's our first thing on the list?
Reasons why we chose Buenos Aires.
All right.
Out of all the places, I guess in the world, but specifically South America to travel. So there were a few reasons why.
Yeah.
We've never been to South America, and we're trying to get to all the continents, so we had to cross that one off our list.
Knocked that one off.
Yeah. And we looked at some different places and the safety of different countries in South America. We found that it seemed like Peru was pretty safe, but we heard very mixed things about going to Machu Picchu and the altitude sickness with kids. So with an 8-month-old, we just didn't even want to go down that road.
And it turned out he had an ear infection anyway.
Yeah.
So like, could you imagine being at however many tens of thousands of feet with that?
That probably wouldn't have helped matters. No. We heard Chile was pretty safe, pretty family friendly. So that was another option. And then Argentina. Those were kind of the three at the top of our list. So we knew we wanted to go to South America. That was one reason. We wanted to go because it's an affordable place.
Super affordable. It was like our US dollars were like monopoly money.
It was, it like you could buy a bottle of wine for $1.
At a restaurant. At a restaurant. Not like, I mean, well, you could get it for that cheap at a gas station.
Our Airbnb was like $50 a night. Hotels are pretty cheap too.
Yeah.
Food and the restaurants was like, I think the most expensive meal we had was our
The gas
our gas
station.
station meal.
Yeah.
It
And that
like,
was like $22.
yeah, and we ate a lot too. So
Oh yeah.
yeah,
We had a ton.
yeah,
Time to go work out again.
yeah, right, totally. Also the weather. So in South America, most countries in South America, it's their summer, so the seasons are kind of opposite from what it is in the U.S.
Hmm.
So it was really warm there, and in Chicago, it is not. So we wanted to go to warmer.
It isn't seasonally warm here, though. I will say that.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
like 40 degrees,
for the time, but even 40 degrees isn't what we're looking for in a vacation.
right?
Yeah, so that was kind of why. Is there any other reasons
Well, it's
why?
super family friendly.
Yeah,
It's super family friendly. Like everywhere we went, no, everyone reminded us. They were like, "Hey, make sure you have priority. You don't have to wait in line. Just walk to the front. You don't have to stand or wait." And which was great. We walked through customs. We just walked through security. We just walked through the line to get to a museum. I mean, it was like
yeah,
we didn't wait for anything, which is super
it
awesome.
was really nice. Uh, and one other thing that made me think of it, the time difference. So we had
Oh
thought
yeah,
about going to Europe and maybe crossing that off because Everett's not been to Europe yet. I mean, he's only 8 months, but uh, we thought about we thought that might be a fun place to go. But after our whole Japan getting back on time change jet lag, we just didn't want to deal with that.
yep,
So um, Buenos Aires was only a 3 hour time change, which basically nothing because you just go to bed. In fact, it was kind of a little easier
yeah.
because you just go to bed a little bit later and you don't have to worry about getting back to the hotel right at like 8 o'clock or whatever.
Yeah, we were going to bed at like midnight or so, which is only like an hour past their like regular how they're feeling at bedtime. So it's
Yeah,
been great.
like in Chicago
Yeah.
time. So yeah.
Always an adventure with kids. Hello, thanks for joining. And Roger asks if we think even more family friendly than Portugal. You know what? They were very similar.
Uh, Actually, yeah. Well, we compared it initially to when we were in Barcelona because we thought it was really similar to Barcelona.
Like the city is, but as far
Yeah,
as
yeah.
like family friendly, because
I think so. I would still say Portugal was a little bit more family friendly
really,
because yeah, I think that was the most family friendly place that we've ever been. But Buenos Aires was up there. Of
where I
course,
was at.
it really kind of depended on where you were in the city. So that's another thing that we'll get
We'll
into
get to that one later.
the areas around the city because there were pockets. But I think Portugal was still beat it out as more
Yeah.
family friendly.
Italy was the same way with kids. You don't wait in any lines. Locals move to the front line. Oh yeah,
I've
it's
heard
so
that about
true.
Italy. I mean, we've been to Italy, but not
No,
with
with kids.
kids. So, but I've heard a lot of people say that
Yeah,
we want to go there soon with kids.
right.
Yeah.
I would go any day except for measles.
Yeah. No,
A few more months. A
Yeah.
few more months.
So how we got there?
Oh wait, are we talking about? We're talking about from the airport, not the standby day.
Well, yeah.
Let's just start from the airport,
The standby day could take us all
right?
the whole time, but so we actually flew through Houston. The flight was we didn't even realize. I mean, we knew it was a long haul flight, obviously, but by the time it took us to get from Chicago to Houston and then Houston to Buenos Aires, that was like more or almost the same time as it took us to get all the way to Japan.
Mhm.
And we're like, whoa.
They're only like 500 miles difference from
Mhm.
Chicago, which is crazy. We never even like really thought about that.
Yeah. It was a long flight, but I feel like those flights that are overnight are not really much different with kids than
Yeah.
your standard flight because they slept the whole time. I mean, they slept
Entire time.
like more like probably only 2 hours were they awake that whole flight.
It was brilliant.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. But so we landed and we, well, of course, we had to go to McDonald's because there's McDonald's in the arrivals area. So that's kind of our
That's
standard.
first. Yeah. Customs was really short. Somebody on the plane had said that a flight attendant told them the customs line was going to be like 2 hours when they got there.
Yeah.
Not the case for us. It was super quick.
It could have been the time we arrived, but
Yeah.
So we got through and we took an Uber back. So the first big impression was the Uber sizes.
The Ubers, yeah, they deserve like a whole topic on themselves because we took Ubers everywhere because they were very cheap.
Yeah.
It was an easy way to get around, but
They were like what, $4, $5. I think the expensive one was to get to the airport, and that was like $8 maybe.
Yeah, it was really cheap to get, and it was fast, and so, that's what we just went with everywhere, and we brought car seats
Hmm.
because I think there were different rules on car seats there, but we just didn't wanna risk it. We
Yeah,
just went ahead and just brought 2 car seats. But, the Ubers were really small.
they're tiny,
Yeah.
so tiny. Well, it's not that they're like terribly tiny. How do you explain the changes? Oh, okay, okay. We'll get there.
Oh,
We'll
yeah,
get there. We'll get
yeah.
there. We'll get there. So the Ubers all have natural gas tanks. I don't know if you remember seeing in the trunk, but they all have
Um,
these giant like tanks in the back trunk. So it's only like half of the size. So we could literally fit 2 carry-ons, and then I had to sit with the stroller in my lap in the front seat on the way home, on the way to the Airbnb, and then everything else packed into the car. So if you are traveling a little heavier than what we do, and we travel bare minimum, you might want to find a bus or a shuttle or something like that, or get like an Uber. They don't even have Uber XL, I don't think.
no, they didn't. They had Uber and Uber Comfort, and at first we took the Uber Comfort thinking it was like
Like a bigger car.
a bigger car, but it was the same size car. It's just you got to pick the temperature that the air conditioning was, and something else was the other
And
thing.
if you want the driver to talk
Oh,
to you.
if you want the driver to talk to you.
So we said sure, but we don't speak that well Spanish.
Yeah, you had a pretty fair conversation a few times,
You know
but
what? I would call myself a conversationalist at best. That's all I got. I am not fluent in any enough to get around.
yeah,
Una botella de vino, por favor.
mm,
That's-
about it, the extent of it. Yeah, you want to answer that, or
what am I answering?
you're answering how we explain change in plans to
Oh,
Olivia.
oh Lord. Well, she's actually pretty good at that these days.
She's pretty flexible.
We don't really like tell her we're going somewhere. We tell her we're going to the airport. We don't tell her that we're going to Disney until we're like on the plane, which by the way is our last video. So go watch that one. Super cute.
She knew we were going on vacation. She didn't really know where. Not that she would have. I mean, she's never been to South America, so
Right?
I don't know that she would have gotten much from just the name of the city. But we didn't tell her until we were physically on the plane.
We're going anywhere.
Yeah, we did make a small mistake on the way home, which we have a whole video about our disaster coming home.
Cluster.
But we told her that we were going to go to a beach because we got stuck. We didn't think we were going to make the flight like after we had just waited all day. And we did last minute, and then we didn't get to go to the beach.
We were literally like leaving the gate to go to the beach.
Yeah.
And they were like, Stretchberry 3. Oh, well, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah. So usually we never make that mistake, but
We did
we
on that one.
did. We did this time. um, so let's talk about a little bit too about where in the city we went, like the different areas.
Oh,
We
okay.
kind of like alluded to it a
Yeah.
little bit, but it's a very Buenos Aires is a very interesting place because every neighborhood is super different from
Mhm.
each other.
We stayed in Palermo.
We stayed in Palermo, there were a lot of condo buildings, and it seemed more residential.
Oh, it was very much more residential.
It had a super nice park just across the street from us,
Mhm.
and I would say that area was very family friendly. I felt completely safe there.
Yeah.
I would say no matter where you are, probably you may just not want to be out late at night, which I think is true of most big cities. I don't think that South America is
In like
anything.
dark areas, but I mean, like
Yeah.
at a main drag, I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah, when we were out a little bit later for dinner one night in like
Couple nights.
the touristy area,
Yeah.
and we felt completely safe. I will say that when we were out in the touristy area, I had like my phone out, and it wasn't even like in my pocket or something. Like I had it in my hands, like calling an Uber driver, and someone came up to me and was like, "Don't have your phone out around here because somebody will." I think people sometimes like drive by on bikes or something and like
Let's
swipe
steal 'em and
your
go.
phone. So I think it's mostly like things like that, like pickpocketing, I
Pickpocketing,
guess,
yeah.
that is kind of common there. And you do have to be cautious of that. That's definitely something that is common no matter where you are in the city. So, I would say that's the only major
Yeah.
thing to watch out for. But
The only other place, we went to a bunch of different neighborhoods that were all pretty similar. I mean, they were different in like character and such, but they were all on the same level of feeling safe. We did go to Roca.
No, La
La
Boca.
Boca.
La
Roca. What am I talking about?
La Boca. So, La
Oh
Boca.
my.
It's like, um, and we did some research on it first. We didn't just
We
like
knew we were getting
threw
into.
ourselves into it. We knew that it was like a little bit more. I don't want to say borderline. Like we wouldn't have gone if we thought that it was completely unsafe. But the things that we had read were like go during the daytime and make sure you're home by nighttime.
Yeah.
Um, it's this very colorful neighborhood that I can only describe it as like an Instagram worthy like
Oh, very much so.
town or whatever. But it's super rural and like
Rural.
you don't think so?
No. Rural. It was very urban.
Okay, well, it was like right outside of Buenos Aires, like right outside the main city center.
Yeah, but I mean, it was super urban. Everything was compact, and it was.
It wasn't right inside the city center.
No, I wouldn't call it rural.
Well, I mean,
BG is rural.
I thought it was. It was not like anything like the main city, and it was a ways out too.
All right, I'll give you that, but I won't call it rural.
Okay, well, I disagree, but you can have your opinion. Anyways, we got let out, and the closures is a whole other topic too, because everything was closed all the time there.
But we should go back to the La Boca.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. Oh, you were moving on.
No, we got let out in an Uber in La Boca, and in front of this pizza, we specifically researched like a pizza place in the city. They let us out in front of the pizza place, which wasn't on. So there's one main street in this La Boca area that's kind of touristy. It's where people go to take pictures, and I think there's like tango dancers and stuff at night. Maybe during the day too. I don't know. We didn't see any, but there's markets, things like that. There's like one little section of it that's a little bit more just like, I don't know, friendly to tourists, I guess. That's not where we got let out in the Uber. We got let out in front of a pizza place that was closed. And that was kind of like our first impression of this place, because we looked around and I don't think I've ever felt like unsafe necessarily in anywhere we've traveled before. But this time, like I just wanted to get right back in the Uber and leave because it was a little bit scary at first.
I liken it to like the back of the yards neighborhood in Chicago. I mean, it was very, very kind of run down, but I mean, there was a lot of really cool things there. So you just had to make sure, you're being careful, keep your head on a swivel. And I mean, there were a lot of stray dogs, and there were, I think we saw 2 or 3 fights in like 3 blocks, but I'm sure that was well warranted.
Yeah.
But it was an interesting neighborhood with some great food. We got sausages from a dude that was just like grilling out in front of the building. Like,
yeah, it's a good place to go for street food. If you're looking for souvenirs that aren't super touristy souvenirs, there was a lot of like handmade things there. So it was really cool during the day. I think once we found our way into the area with other people who were visitors, then it was a little bit more comfortable. But the place we got dropped off, I would say just make sure you get dropped off right in the main area, because we were the only visitors there, and it was a little intimidating.
Painfully obvious that we were.
And we were like, we were just trying to get out of there to find our place.
Salad targets for getting robbed.
Yeah, it was not the best of situations, but once we figured out where we were going, it was good.
I don't think we would have also felt so scared. Scared's not even a good word. So nervous had we not had like our vlogging camera out and like the 2 kids. But if it were just like us and strollers and whatever, I wouldn't have felt at all worried about it. I just don't want someone to steal it.
And it was a mixed bag, because then we tried to get an Uber. We tried to get an Uber when we were ready to leave, and like our phones, my phone had been getting reception the entire time that we were there, but all of a sudden nothing. I got no reception. Started to panic a little bit because we were like, how are we going to get out of this place? we saw buses going by, but we didn't know
No
anything
idea.
about where the buses were going. So we ended up going to a restaurant, and they were like, don't get an Uber from here. Like, Ubers are okay in other areas of the city, but don't get an Uber in this particular area. They said to get a taxi, and that's the only thing that we should be using.
Apparently, Uber drivers and taxi drivers fight in the area. So
So we got a taxi. We ended up making it back, and all was good. But that was the only time that we really felt slightly unsafe.
Yeah.
All the other times, we're pretty kid friendly. I would say.
Yeah. Just looking at what else we want to talk about.
Well, definitely the food. I think we should a little bit. I mean, you mentioned the sausages, but
yeah, for sure.
Some of the things that we ate.
Yeah.
We mentioned the grilled meat, but you have to talk about that. The last place we went with your steak.
It was the best steak I've ever had in my life.
They're famous for like a chimichurri sauce.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and the empanada. So they had like this. It was like a red chimichurri sauce. Normally you see green. This place had a red one.
It was like chipotle and smoked.
We sat down and they just brought us empanadas. We didn't even order them. They just brought them with this chimichurri sauce, and I'm dreaming about it now.
It was like that steak was just barely put on the grill. I don't know what seasoning they used for it.
So good.
Well, now I'm hungry.
Yeah. And they love their cheese there too, which is okay with me because I love cheese.
Right. That first restaurant we went to with the provoletta.
Oh, they do. So everything they do in this city is grilled. They like to grill everything, which is just fine with me. But even cheese. So we got this grilled provoletta, and it was just this big piece of cheese that they just grilled, and it was amazing. It's like our introduction to Buenos Aires.
It was a nice one.
Yeah. I'll definitely get that again. Then we got some street food. Olivia got a lot of ice cream.
Yeah.
Even Everett did.
That restaurant, though, that first one we went to was great because they didn't speak a lick of English. And the cups of wine were like 75 cents. And the waiter just like kept randomly popping over and like topping our wine glasses.
I know. He would like walk away giggling about it. It's so funny. He would just like, I had the full wine glass still, and he would like tip it, like put it all the way to the edge,
to the brim,
and then walk away giggling. It's like, oh, buddy, okay.
That was brilliant.
It was funny. But most of the restaurants were kid friendly too, and a lot of them even had like milk and chocolate milk, which when we've traveled places, it usually is kind of like water, sometimes juice. It's the only option. So it was kind of cool that they also catered to kids. And tipping in restaurants was something that we had kind of researched a little bit. It was like all over the board.
Yeah, it was hit or miss, really. I mean, some people like practically begged for it, but the guy, like the older guy that was like topping our wine glasses off, I tried to tip him. He was like, "I don't need that.
Yeah,
don't do that. I don't need a tip."
Okay. It was, I mean, we usually when we go somewhere like that, we like somewhere outside of the U.S., we research it in advance, so we know like what is common and what is the local, I don't know, custom. But this one, it was just kind of like whatever, you just didn't really know. It was it could go either way.
Well, because each neighborhood has a very like cultural significance. So like where we stayed was Palermo, that was Italian, and then La Boca was also Italian, so two very different. And then the other one we went to, this restaurant, I think it was more French, and so I think it, whatever that country's custom is, kind of follows along with it.
Yeah.
What else we got? Wrap up and mention upcoming Buenos Aires videos. All right. See, if you don't take notes, you don't get.
By the way, we still have our stockings up, and it's no longer the holidays.
Those are the cutest, though.
Yeah, there, and it's only January 5th, but we do have our Christmas lights up still.
Yeah,
I think it's time for those to come down.
I don't know what the acceptance is. I think I have until next weekend.
I don't know. I think they need to go, but that's just me.
Well, I'll probably take them down next weekend.
Anyway, so we did film a lot there, and a lot of it is just us getting totally turned away from places
Cerrado.
because
Cerrado.
it was like, that means closed. Everywhere we got to, it's like the door was slammed shut in our face. It was a little rough.
Yeah, it was.
January 6th. Okay, so you have till tomorrow? Yeah.
What?
Get to work.
I don't celebrate the Epiphany though, so I'm okay. But yeah, so we have a couple of good videos. One of which, what was it, like a perfect day in Buenos Aires for the kids. We have another one that is about coming home, and as we said on that one, was insanity. We flew from
Oh my goodness.
Buenos Aires to Miami, took an Uber to Fort Lauderdale, flew from Fort Lauderdale to Cleveland, and then Cleveland to Chicago, with some overnights in between.
So long. So long. We made the right course, though.
We did.
Like, because we kind of looked back to see if we would have made the other flights, and it turns out we would not have.
I have so much anxiety right now because, like I said, we were getting ready to leave the gate at Fort Lauderdale because we gave up. I mean, we were just like, this isn't happening. Let's just drive to
the beach. You told Olivia
we're going to go to the beach. So we were going to go to West Palm Beach and try to fly out the next day. And we looked at flights today, and every one of them was full. We wouldn't have gotten on a single flight.
So it's a good thing we did not go to the beach, Olivia.
And we were trying to wait out for some like Chicago direct flights. Not one of those was open. No. It was a cruise day, and apparently a cruise was delayed by a day. So what we thought looked good,
no,
oh my gosh,
it didn't.
That's by far the most intense.
But we did fly a new airline coming from Buenos Aires to Miami.
Yeah.
We flew Aerolíneas Argentinas.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was cool because we got the bassinet.
We never get bassinets.
We never get the option to have a bassinet. And we had like the bulkhead. So we had all the extra leg room plus a bassinet forever. And it was almost like first class or business class or something, right?
I mean, it basically was. Okay. I had full leg room. I could have it extended. It was so great.
Yeah, it was nice. So that's coming.
Yep.
But for now,
thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Glad you joined.
So
what? I'm still laughing at you calling.
I knew you were.
Rural. I can't even. Do you even know what rural means?
I
won't quiz you. No, I cannot. I cannot.
All right. Well, we need to wrap this up.
Yep.
And Everett will probably be up in like a few minutes anyways.
All right. Well, good night.
Yep.
Thanks for joining. Make sure you subscribe, follow along, all the good stuff. And we'll be back to videos next week. We missed last week.
Yeah.
So sorry about that.
I know. We were busy doing New Year's. That was when we first got there. We were busy flying there.
Yes.
But we'll be back next week.
Yeah.
I think we still have like a couple of our Disney videos.
Oh, shoot.
So those will be first. But then Buenos Aires will be coming.
All right.
Yep.
Have a good night.
Night.
Bye.